Hello and welcome to the PRIMIS Propositions podcast. Hear the lion. I'm Matt Brown, head of proposition. Who am I joined by? Is it Liz? Hello, Liz.
Hi, good morning. Super excited for this session today. We've got the Primus Personality of the Year that always brings the props along.
I think we could probably guess who that is, definitely internally. So, James Chutter from Leeds Building Society, welcome back for your hat trick on the podcast. Hello.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here. Thank you.
Good stuff. How are you? You all right?
Yes, I am good. It's very sunny here in Bristol, and I'm looking forward to this. There's been a lot of planning that's been put in place. There's special effects. There's all sorts.
Well, seeing as Liz just mentioned the props, I am hoping you haven't let us down on that front, mate.
Uh, I've yeah, I've got something. I've got something. I'm not going to lie. I have got something. Mainly because I'm incapable of being able to present just off the bat. I need to have some structure me. Otherwise, I could end up going all over the place. So yeah, I do have something to help structure it, and it's not just I suppose, a PowerPoint presentation.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, and we won't forget that you at Primus Live, you also brought along your Sabutio. So I'm sure this is going to be quite an interesting prop, to say the least. So let's crack on then. So James, what are you and your props talking to us about today?
Well, today I wanted to talk to you about first-time buyers. It feels like every lender in the market at the moment wants to talk about first-time buyers, and at Leeds Building Society, we very much want to be the first-time buyer of choice. We see that first-time buyers are probably having the hardest time ever. We've done some research, a place to call home, which is some research that we published last year, which I'll be sort of talking about throughout this session. But it basically states that the first-time buyers and the housing market is in its worst position for at least 150 years. And first-time buyers, compared to the 1980s, are now half as likely to be able to get on the property ladder now than what they were back in the 80s. And that's sort of shown in the data that we've looked at in terms of the amount of first-time buyers that you see each year. So post the financial crisis, the average first-time buyers per year was 465,000. And then last year, obviously a smaller market due to what happened with the mini budget, etc. But we saw the lowest amount of first-time buyers come into the market for the last 10 years. So that it was 257,000. So that is quite a dramatic drop compared to where we were back in 2007. Now, at Leeds Building Society, we're very proud that we were able to help just under 18,000 of those first-time buyers, and 1 in every 2, so effectively 50% of all of our mortgages go towards first-time buyers. And so, yeah, this is a real area of the market that we really want to focus on. And we do see that this is a market that's going to be growing, and we do expect that by 2027 that this market's going to go back up to sort of 350,000 first-time buyers a year. But it's an area that, as a mutual building society, we really want to focus on. So I think what I'd like to talk about to start off with is try and make it, I suppose, the story of me buying my house. Because what would have been 12, 13 years ago, I came home to the little flat that me and my wife were renting to be told the fantastic news that she was pregnant, which was, yeah, absolutely brilliant. But then it was like, wow, we need to buy a house, and we need to buy a house now. And thinking back now and knowing sort of what I do now, at that time I was working in a bank, knew about mortgages, and had a relatively good credit scoring. My wife was also a mortgage broker. So in terms of like my first time buyer journey, I had the education that I needed. I had the contacts that I needed to go and put it all in place. I would say, a good sort of, I had a head start basically on anyone else who would have been in that position and had been working outside of financial services. I was then very lucky that my father-in-law was in a financial position to be able to give us the deposit we needed. And within 6 months, we bought our first home, which we're still living in now, which we've been able to develop and do lots of things too. But yeah, I suppose that was it was made so much easier by me knowing the contacts, having the industry knowledge, and being in a good financial position to start off with, and having that financial support from my father-in-law and mother-in-law to be able to buy our first home. So how did you two find buying your first home? What was that like for you? Have you got any other sort of experience that you wouldn't mind sharing?
You're taking me back here, James. It's a long time ago, it feels. So 2007, my story's quite similar to yours in that I worked for a high street bank. I worked in the branch network and we had a mortgage advisor I was quite friendly with, and he gave me some really good advice in terms of what I needed to save, help me do a budget, all that kind of stuff. Because my wife was studying for a degree, so she didn't have an income coming in. So we did a bit of a plan in terms of working out how much we would need to save per month to get a deposit to then go and buy our first home. We did that. We got to the number, went and viewed a house and wanted it instantly. Didn't really do any proper research. We ended up losing money on that house in the end. We've moved twice since. But as a first time buyer, you see the house, you want it. We both were living with parents, ready to move out. It's very exciting, isn't it? But I was fortunate, like your story, to know a mortgage advisor, work with one who could keep my head screwed on a little bit and support me. And I think that's, the important point of an advisor. I know we're here talking about leads and first time buyers and stuff today, but putting that Primis plug in and thinking about our brokers and our ARs, they do an absolutely fantastic job. And people out there who don't have that mortgage advisor or somebody with financial services knowledge to help them, it's so beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. I keep forgetting that we were working at that big bank at the same time.
We were, but we didn't know each other, did we? There we go.
Didn't
There we
know
go.
each other until afterwards. How about you, Liz? What's your experience, or have you got anything that's similar that you can relate to?
Well, it was a really long time ago that I bought my first house, so it's a very hazy memory. But for me, more currently, my niece has recently bought a house, and it's the educational journey for me that really struck me about what it's not just that people understand what they need to do to look after their credit score, how they need to arrive at a deposit, and actually, if you haven't got access like you guys did to the mortgage world and have somebody to talk to, then they don't know where to start. It's like baking a cake but not having any ingredients. It's difficult, isn't it? It's a hard thing for them to do. To work out how much they can afford, I think, is really tough, especially at the moment, because affordability is a lot tighter, isn't it? But one of the other things that they struggled with was stock. They put offers in on the 3 or 4 houses, had mentally moved in, and then were gazumped.
Oh no way, you got gazumped.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing worse. Absolutely
No.
nothing worse. Well, so what I was going to talk to you today is about, I suppose, trying to paint that picture and give a little bit more understanding of where first-time buyers sit at the moment. And then I want to talk to you about some of the things that at Leeds Building Society, what we're doing. So to help structure this, I have brought in some props. Now, make sure I've got my positioning right. Can you see this okay?
Mate, we can see it, and the instant thing I can notice is it's on brand, isn't it? You've put Leeds Building Society Lego on that deck there, haven't you?
Yes, we have. That is exactly Leeds Building Society colours, so we are very much on brand. We've got our 2 first-time buyers that are stood here, and they have got this. Oh, we almost could have done this like a computer game. They've got 4 main barriers, all noticing that they're all exactly the same height. Neither of them are kind of in a specific order. It's just that they're all barriers, and it just depends on which one is sort of working for them. But we've got 4 barriers that get main barriers that get in the way of first-time buyers on their journey to buying this wonderful, glorious first-time buyer house. What do you think?
I mean, the front door's interesting.
Yeah, it does look a little bit like a jail cell with the front door, but I'm really loving this concept.
Uh, I think you guys need to watch a little bit more of what's it called, The Amazing Spaces. You don't know what's going on inside. There's a number of different layers. You shouldn't just judge it on the outside. So yeah,
Very true, mate. We went straight into judge
We
mode there,
did.
didn't
went
we,
straight
Liz?
into
That's not
judging mode.
good.
But yes, the Leeds Building Society first time buyer flat is actually amazing with the, I don't know what kind of TV remote, but yeah, anyway, we're going off point. We're going off point. So yeah, the first one, and now I have got a little few labels here. I know that this is going to be tricky for you to see it on the video, but affordability. So first time buyers are having to purchase later in life, and they're having to extend their mortgages even further, and in some cases they're buying in joint names, not because of the fact that they're in a sort of relationship and they want to sort of buy a house together, but more from a business sense of family members, like brothers and sisters or friends even, wanting to get onto the property ladder, realizing that they don't have enough money to do it on their own, and so therefore are then having to sort of club together to be able to do it. Now, at Leeds Building Society, we do help those kind of scenarios, and there are some scenarios where we can lend to up to 4 people on a mortgage application to try and help support this. But the most hit that we've seen is the ages of first-time buyers. So potential first-time buyers aged 25 to 34 have been the worst affected, and we've seen their rates of purchasing as first-time buyers go down from 66% down to 44% in 2023. So it's having a major impact on that sort of 25 to 34. And like as I mentioned at the very start, we've then started to see first-time buyer numbers drop to their lowest in 10 years to 2024. The next one is deposit. So, like I said, I was very lucky in my first-time buyer journey that I was able to get a deposit from a family member. But from the research that we've done in speaking to first-time buyers, having the deposit is one of the major things that's getting in the way. At the moment, any ideas how much the average deposit that's required for a house at the moment from the stats that we took from last year?
I've read to think.
Definitely double figures.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so we are at, and this is going away from any kind of affordable housing schemes. So the average was 65,000, and we're expecting that to jump up to 70,000 by 2027. So for me, as a father of 2 at the moment, I say at the moment, I
was just going to ask you a question. At the moment, what?
Oh my God. Yeah, I've got absolutely no plans to do it, but I'm starting to look at savings options that I can put into for long-term investments to try and help. If I start saving now, then I don't think there's any chance I'm going to be getting close to 140 grand. And it's the worrying thing is that in 15, 20 years time, when my kids are looking to borrow, I'm concerned that it's going to be even higher than that. So yeah, the deposit for first-time buyers is a scary thing. And given that the fact that it's harder for them to save now, you've got the cost of living crisis, wages haven't kept pace to the rise of property values. So there's not enough houses being built as well. The government haven't hit their target of building, well, not even a target anymore, of building 300,000 homes for, I think it's since 1950s, I think, that the last time they were actually able to build the 300,000 homes target. So it means because of that, then house prices are going up, incomes aren't going up at the same stage, so it makes it even harder for those people looking to buy their first home. So the next one
backs up where you started, doesn't it, with that the worst position in 150 years. I wrote on my pad because I thought that's a depressing statement, but very we should be talking about that, and I think all the stuff you've just articulated builds on that.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope I'm not trying to paint too much of a bleak picture. I think what I'm trying to do is try and make it aware of helping brokers to understand the picture that customers are in, especially for those newer brokers who are coming into the market, and their expertise really does have a massive value. So the other barrier that we've got is credit scoring. From the research that we looked at, the typical first-time buyer age of 31 to 35 actually have the lowest average credit score in the UK. And there's a number of different reasons for this, but one of them could be that they are still sort of living at home or in a shared house. So they're not either on the utility bills. They might just be paying one standing order direct debit over to mum and dad, but they're not actually on the utility bills or on the council tax. And so it just means that when it comes to them effectively needing their strongest credit score for what will probably be the biggest impact that the mortgage will have, and needing to be robust, that they're in sometimes not the best position. So again, they need that coaching and education from their broker to be able to move forward with it, which moves me on, funnily enough, nicely to my next point. And the final barrier that's in the way of our little first-time buyers here that are trying to get to our wonderful property is education. Again, from our research, only 30% of possible first-time buyers understand the buying process. And we've recently been doing a lot of research with first-time buyers, and the knowledge gap is quite considerable when we were asking them questions around, things like loan to value. You're not expecting everyone to understand how to work out a loan to value or what LTV stands for, but quite a few of them didn't actually understand that the loan meant the mortgage. So and you're not expecting them to, but you kind of realize, right, that's the level that you're working to try and help those customers understand that the mortgage is borrowed against the value of the property. So it means that it just sort of highlights again that those first time buyers really do need the support of a broker. And also from the research we've seen is that first time buyers have the highest percentage of wanting to use a broker when it comes to, so there is a big opportunity that those customers are going to be likely coming to their broker rather than going to their local bank. So I suppose that kind of brings me around to my the next part of the I suppose this session. It's almost like a rhetorical question, but what are Leeds Building Society doing about it? Why are we here talking about it? So at Leeds Building Society, we want to be seen as the first time buyer lender of choice. And if we're thinking on affordability, now I'm hoping that this won't come as too much of a shock to the people listening or watching, is that we are seen as one of the #1 lenders of shared ownership in the market. We've been voted, I think it's the last 8 years we've been voted mortgage best shared ownership lender of the year. Record 8 years in a row. But our shared ownership proposition, we do 95% loan to value on houses and flats, and that's on new build as long as it's shared ownership. We're really experienced in our underwriting team and offer some fantastic and really generous affordability. Moving away from shared ownership, just on some of the things that we've just enhanced is that we've just increased the amount that we're going to be able to lend to first time buyers. So previously on our affordability calculator, we used to cap it at 4.5 times salary. We've now removed that cap and increased the amount that we can lend to up to 5.25 times salary. And we've only did that in the last month or so, and that's a big jump up the risk curve for us. But that is very much because we're a purpose-led organisation that wants to help first-time buyers, and therefore we're making important changes to try and help this segment of the market. The other thing, and I think this is what we talked about in the last podcast, is that we are very unique, and we're the first lender to do this. That on a beautiful new build house such as this, we will lend more on new build houses due to the energy saving that they offer. New build properties normally rated A to C on a EPC rating. We've taken the assumption that that's going to save customers around 20% on their utility bills, and we've added that 20% saving into our affordability. So it means that in some cases, customers will be able to borrow an extra around 23 to 24,000 extra if they're buying a new build compared to if they were buying a second-hand property. And we were the first lender to go into doing that, and we are there's 2 lenders doing that now. So it's another sort of nice thing that we're doing to help first-time buyers and people buying new build properties. The next one, I don't know if I should be jumping these guys along, because now that Leeds Building Society have helped them with the affordability piece, we can move them on to the next bit, the deposit. So this one's particularly hard, especially as kind of for saving for a deposit. There's so much more extra that the customer needs to have run their finances well, have the affordability to make those savings, which I know is very tricky at this time where with the cost of living crisis, really high rents. It does make it very tricky, but we have launched a deposit saver savings account, and that offers a massive, in my opinion, 5.15 rate of interest that's paid on annually on balances over £100. They can deposit up to 30,000 in the first initial deposit, and then they can save up to £500 per month after that initial. So they get the fantastic return of 5.15, but if they then decide, let's say for example, they then buy a property and get a mortgage with Leeds Building Society, on getting their offer, we will then give them £500 bonus on that savings account. So I don't think we're ever going to solve the deposit issue there on our own, but it's just something else that we're trying to sort of move towards. So
that's a nice incentive. That's good.
Right.
With the £500, so we're going to move along ever so slightly. and we're now looking at their credit scoring. So we've launched 2 things so far this year to help customers with their credit scoring. We've launched our Reach range. So this is for customers who are borrowing over 75% loan to value, and it's effectively risk-based pricing. So where previously, if someone's credit score had scored just below this marker, we're actually now just dropping our credit scoring down. So those people sort of try and make it so that you can see it in that gap there, rather than declining them, it means that we're accepting them, but based on a reach on one of our Reach products. So when your broker does a decision in principle, they will get a message to say you've been accepted, and just below it will say your customer's been accepted, but on a Reach product. So they then need to go back, take a look at the range of the products to make sure it still fits the customer's circumstances, and then we can look to proceed with them. But it will be a little bit more expensive. But the feedback that we've had is that the range isn't that much more expensive, and the conversion that we get on Reach products is near enough the same as what we do on our standard resi. So we're not seeing a big fallout from it. So it's not so expensive that customers are walking away from us, which is what we designed to. It's to try and help more people, and again help us go a little bit further up the risk curve. And then finally, you've then got our education piece. Now I am going to share my screen for this. I'm going to try and share my screen. So this is in line with the campaign that we're currently running around trying to help first-time buyers more. Let's see, I haven't used Zoom for a little while, so I've just got to go and see if I can find my screen share bit. There we go. So we've produced, and I think we'll be able to share the links after this for the session. Can you see the first-time buyer guide?
We can.
Yeah, brilliant.
Fantastic. So we've launched this first-time buyer guide, and this is to help mortgage brokers understand more about how they can help first-time buyers, and basically sharing some of the information that we found from our research, and then pointing them in the right direction to things that we're doing to help first-time buyers, so it all kind of aligns. So again, we'll put the link up for everyone to have a look, or you can find it on our website, but you've got that guide there to basically help first-time buyers.
That looks great.
So,
I also particularly like the ladies' mug.
I like the ladies' mug too. Yeah, really cool.
So I think that means that we've done so much now that these first-time buyers get to have their amazing new Leeds Building Society branded, looks better than what it does on the inside than what it does on the outside first-time home. So there you go. What a journey they've been on.
Brilliant, James. I think, that really brings it to life. And I think, some of the bits you talked about, particularly education, is massive, isn't it? And I know Liz referenced that in her example for her niece, but the education piece is so important. Really good. What's coming in the future? Is there anything you haven't talked about yet? Anything that might be dropping in the future that you can give us a little teaser about?
So bear in mind that we're very much focused on first-time buyers. I suppose just keep an eye out, because we are going to have, that's where all our energy's going at the moment, I would say. So we try and do our best with like the Primis team to keep you guys updated with all of our changes. So I suppose just keep an eye out for that. One little thing that we have changed very recently, which has again been another real step forward. About 4 odd years ago, we moved over to the MSO system, which has completely transformed how brokers see us as a lender, because it's a much easier system for them to use, so much more intuitive. And we've been able to turn on so many features now so that it makes the application process, the different application process and journey for both brokers and customers so much easier. And we've now moved that over for product transfers as well. So anybody who's got a product transfer coming up with Leeds Building Society, you can now do it via MSO, and it makes it, again, so much more easy. You've got case tracking, but in most cases you won't need that, because as long as everything lines up and the valuation lines up, then it means that you can have an offer within basically a matter of minutes. So just keep your eye out for that if it comes to you having to do a product transfer with it. I know I've ended what was meant to be all around first-time buyers, and I've ended up just talking about PTs, which is possibly the least sexiest thing.
Blame me for the question.
Oh yeah, but first-time buyers, there you go.
Great stuff. Anything else, Liz, we want to grill him about, or do we think he's been suitably grilled today?
No, I think he's been suitably grilled, and I really like the stuff about the deposit account and things like that. It's like a really joined up approach, and the support and education that you've got in those details that we're going to share for the brokers to share with their clients. I think that's brilliant. So if anybody hasn't already met James, I'm sure you can understand now why he is our Primis Personality of the Year. I have to say he's ace for getting out and seeing people all over the place. So if you need to speak to James or the team, we'll share the contact details as well. But I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thanks,
much.
James.
Yeah, thank you very much for your support, Steve.
Yeah, thanks for coming back on the podcast, mate. A hat trick. So we'll leave it at that. James Chutter, everybody. I think I might get marketing to put in a round of applause like this now. So here we go. Thanks a lot.